One of the reasons why we broke down our in-game and post-game talk and recovery process is because if you are using a post-game recovery process in-game, you are literally running out of mental space. It takes too long, and by the time you stop thinking about what you just did and trying to massively learn from that, the game has moved on and it's in front of you and you're still back here. You think about that from that perspective. Most athletes who make mistakes, they're not centered where they are. They're not living in this moment. A mistake typically happens through either confusion over their role, or number two, it happens because they're either thinking about what's going to happen next, or they're thinking about what's happened in the past. Either way, you're not where you need to be. So let's talk a little bit about what we need to do post-game in order to maximize the possibility of not making these mistakes again in the future and learning from it. So the first thing we need to do post-game is we need to review our performance and create some learnings around that. That can be as simple as sitting down, looking at some footage, listening to your coach, reviewing it with your coach, and asking yourself, wow, okay, that wasn't great, what just happened there? Well, what do I need to learn from that, either technically or mentally, strategically, to make sure that it doesn't happen again in the future? You need to be active with your own learning here. You need to absolutely have a performance journal where you can make some notes and keep track of exactly what you're doing and how you're going to fix it next time. Number two, once you've reviewed your performance, we strongly suggest that the type of practice that you need to do has to be a simulated practice. There may be some skill development that needs to take place, and you can do that from a block practice perspective where you're literally rehearsing a movement over and over again, like doing a free throw over and over and over again. There's some validity behind that in terms of improving your skill. But in terms of putting it into a game situation, we would strongly suggest that if you've missed a percentage of your free throws, which is unacceptable, or you haven't executed the pass effectively, you need to recreate that moment in the context of the game that you play. And so that means some sort of game pressure. That means some sort of defensive pressure coming at you. It's been suggested that your depth of learning and understanding increases when you simulate the environment that you're going to be participating in. A colleague of mine, Dr. Adam Gorman, refers to that as representative style practice. And very often we don't see that. And so mistakes can occur again in the future because we're suddenly confronted with a totally new situation that we don't typically see at practice. So therefore, when we get into a game, it's unfamiliar to us in terms of how to deal with it. So number one, make sure you review and you take your learnings from your performance post-game. Number two, be active about simulating the environment that mistake happened in the first place and doing it till you get it right. It's not a set number of reps. It is until it is done to the standard that it's demanded by the rest of the team and yourself and your coach. The third thing to do in your post-game, once you've reviewed it, learnt from it, put it into practice, is to measure it and see how you're improving in that particular area. So most teams we work with will be doing some sort of video analysis, videoing of their practices. Make sure you review that footage and see yourself executing that area that you're trying to improve upon and updating your own beliefs about what you're now capable of doing. So review and measure everything. Then go back to step one again. Review and measure the learning, put it into practice again, put some more pressure on yourselves. If you need to step it back a bit, do that as well. But ultimately, that post-game reflection, you can see how it's just so different from what an in-game mistake minimization strategy looks like as well, and how you recover from the two. So I hope that's been useful. I will guarantee that this works, but like anything else, you have to put it into practice. If you need any help with that, please reach out. We're only too happy to help you with any questions you might have.